So this is not a normally scheduled video, but when I was reading about the latest news on the Ubiquiti data breach, and specifically some of the comments replying to it, I felt the need to make this quick video. I'm going to cover the basics of the data breach and then my specific recommendations for actions that you should take immediately to not only secure your installation in response to this data breach, but also to protect yourself in the event of future breaches. In January 2021, Ubiquiti servers got breached and they released this statement as a result. You can pause the video if you want to read the whole thing, but I'm going to cover the important parts in just a second. When I released my 3-part Unify series about a week after this, there were dozens of comments from people saying they would never use Ubiquiti products again because they got breached. And my response to those comments would still be the same today as it was then. Breaches happen. No company is immune to them. If the whistleblower report, which I've linked in the description below, is correct, then this particular breach was enabled when a Ubiquiti employee's LastPass account was hacked, and that contained a privileged credential for the Ubiquiti Amazon Web Services account. We're not talking about a hardware breach or a software vulnerability or weak credentials, we're talking about user error. But here's where Unify really screwed up. If the whistleblower report is correct, then Ubiquiti and specifically their legal team made some technically correct statements that purposefully misled their customer base and greatly downplayed the severity of the breach. For instance, Ubiquiti said, "We recently became aware of unauthorized access to certain of our information technology systems hosted by a third-party cloud provider." And that was technically correct. We know now that the third-party provider was Amazon Web Services. The thing about Amazon Web Services, though, is it provides secure hardware, but it is entirely up to the client, which is Ubiquiti in this case, to secure both their accounts and any data hosted on that hardware. Now, significantly more concerning than that, Ubiquiti also said, "We have no indication that there has been any unauthorized activity with respect to any user's accounts. We are not currently aware of evidence of access to any databases that host user data, but we cannot be certain that user data hasn't been exposed." And again, they aren't lying. Specifically, the whistleblower says that Ubiquiti had almost no access logging turned on for the server. So there was no way to figure out who logged in, when they did it, or what files they accessed. They didn't have any evidence of access to those databases containing user data, but it's very likely that a hacker who ended up setting up 2 backdoors and demanding 50 Bitcoin to stay quiet about the breach also harvested user data when they had access. Combine this news with the fact that Ubiquiti has been pushing their cloud account logins by requiring them to activate the Dream Machine and Dream Machine Pro, and has even pushed this requirement onto the recent updates of the Cloud Key Gen 2 and Gen 2 Plus, then the situation becomes pretty dire. While we wait for a hopefully swift and decisive response from Ubiquiti, hopefully re-enabling local activation of devices, there are a few things that you can and should do in the meantime. Number 1, if you haven't already, log into accounts.ui.com and change your password on your Ubiquiti cloud account, and make it something secure and unique. Step 2, remove and re-enable 2-factor authentication via Google Authenticator. This will generate a new authentication seed, since previous seeds may have been compromised. Number 3, log into your Dream Machine or Cloud Key and click on Users. Click on Create New User and select Super Admin, and then give it local access only. Give it a local username and password, and then save it. And last, go to Settings on your Dream Machine or Cloud Key and toggle the switch to deactivate remote access. It is still possible to connect to your controller via the app if you're using a VPN and local credentials, but unfortunately I haven't found a way to make the Unify Protect app work without cloud access enabled. If you know, leave a comment to show me how to use it with a VPN. But if you take those 4 quick steps, you will significantly decrease your risk, not only from this breach, but also from any future breaches. If sometime down the road Ubiquiti does decide to allow us to disconnect our devices from the cloud completely, I would also recommend deleting your cloud account altogether, but don't do it yet. If you still have questions about the breach after reading the full article on Krebs' website, go ahead and leave a comment and I'll do my best to find the answer. And as always, thanks for watching The Hookup.